first time that I saw graphics from the game. They looked beautiful.
And the whole thing struck me as like really whimsical.
And you're just going through this colorful world. There's something so peaceful about it.
But also there was like a thoughtfulness to the design.
They had the appeal of something that was hand-drawn as opposed to just pixelated. And it was something that I would put on my wall, so it made me very excited to be involved with it.
So Dick and I knew that music was going to be a hugely important part of the experience of playing Hohokum, but we didn't really have any clear ideas about who we were going to collaborate with on music.
We'd made this kind of mood playlist of the sort of music we'd like in the game. When I found out that a lot of these artists are on this record label called Ghostly International, that was a complete surprise to me.
Usually within composition, if you're hiring a composer, you've got a single core aesthetic or thematic moment that you'll always return to. And this game doesn't do that.
That sort of started a wider conversation about perhaps it being a more free-form collaboration where we would work with Ghostly and actually have original tracks composed, which was incredibly exciting.
Because each level was so different and each artist is so different, we had to address each level, each moment individually and say, what are we trying to do here? What are we trying to accomplish here? What are we trying to inform the player to do or to feel or to experience in relation to where they've come from or where they're going? In each one of those moments, we would communicate those types of things to the artist.
It started off as email transactions and audio transactions. And then when we finally got on the telephone, it was like talking to a friend about music.
It was like a puzzle for me to kind of come up with an idea of like, well, how does music work for a space? It's kind of like musical sound design, but non-linear music.
It's very modular. It's minimal parts that can evolve and work over each other, and the minimalism also allows it to be compatible with a lot of different moods and goals.
For Guano, to me, that piece is all about motion. So I started with these arpeggios, and it's all these different layers of arpeggios that are actually playing a very similar figure, but they're all moving at different speeds. So they come up with these interlocking, kind of intricate patterns. And when you hear them all together, you don't necessarily hear the different lines. You just hear the way they overlap and integrate and kind of antagonize each other.
Writing the music for Power World, I was asked to make the breaking jars part of the music itself. And since the sound of an object being struck is the basis for a great deal of music, it wasn't particularly hard to imagine those pots being integrated into a song.
With the Forest Plateau, everything was on a basic level, so a basic atmosphere and then a basic music piece. The music pieces were all modular, so with Alex we kind of honed in on, what tempo works, what vibe works, and then once I did, then with the atmosphere I could really turn it from 2 tracks into like 64 tracks.
Seeing my music used in the game, it felt like an artistic expression that my music was actually part of the game, not just used by the game.
And I think what really struck me about listening to all the material from Ghostly for the first time was this feels really natural and human.
Everybody who's seen this game, in my experience, within 2 minutes is smiling, which is an incredible, powerful thing. There wasn't anybody who we talked to on their roster who was saying, oh, I've been there and done that, or apprehensive. And that's rare. There were millions of things that could have gone wrong, and none of them did.
And at the time, it was literally just me singing notes into a microphone with some reverb on it. And to go from that to what we have today is just like it's just a complete sea change. It's a totally different sort of thing.